All right, Coach. Obviously, a big week for you guys coming up against Houston, a team that obviously, like, you know a lot about Houston and their program and everything over there. What is it like playing against a big 12 opponent like that? Something that a team that you kind of have a lot of love and respect for.
Yeah, it's like a bucket list experience for me. You know, starting off as like an unpaid intern at Houston while I went to school there. That was kind of where my pursuit of happiness kind of started. So it's kind of full circle to actually step on the field and play the university that I attended and graduated from. So excited about that opportunity.
I know you focus on a lot of game planning to beat them. What's it like seeing the team actually playing like really good football, prospering 6-1, having a really good start to their season as well?
Yeah, they're a good football team. You know, they make minimal mistakes. You know, so it'll be a good challenge for us. You know, going into Big 12 play this week, every week is the playoffs. You know, it's going to be a tight race. You know, we control our destiny. We just got to take it 1 week at a time, just making sure we don't get complacent. You know, this is a team that we have to play our best football.
From a coverage standpoint, what have you been seeing from them and their receiving group and how they've been able to play so far this year?
Yeah, really good receiving group. You know, they lost number 5 Johnson this week. He announced he's going to be out for the year. But to just single out Zero Thomas, he's third in the Big 12 in yards after catch. So he's a really good receiver. He's tough to get down after the catch. So our challenge will be tackling him and limiting his yak opportunities this weekend.
How do you kind of encapsulate kind of the journey from attending Houston and now getting to a position coach opportunity at ASU in Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, it started off with a dream and a thought, you know, for me being an unpaid intern at Houston from a volunteer position to having a full-time role. 10 years ago, I was bartending and, coming in and folding recruiting letters at that office 10 years ago. So I knew when I started football that it was all about networking. I knew all it took was one coach to get a job and bring me from underneath this umbrella with him. So that was just my zeal to start off my journey in the college football. I didn't know it would end up being a coaching career, but I just put my best foot forward and just continued to grow. Obviously, the goal in college football is continue vertically integrating. So that was my goal. That was my inspiration, to just be a fly on the wall and see if it would snowball from there, and it kind of did.
What kind of sparked the passion for you at Houston to want to get into the coaching profession?
I always had a passion for the coaching profession, being raised in the north side of Houston from a low socioeconomic background. Football coaches were my male influences coming up, so just having those male influences showed me to kind of measure myself up to a man. Sports, football, recruiting, just football holistically was always something that was my passion, even from a fanatic standpoint, even before I actually got within the program. So just, being a part of the football process from youth to high school to going to college. I recruited from my high school, St. Pius High School in Houston. We were able to win some state championships there. So I just feel like the culture engulfed in football, the feeling I had winning a championship in high school is the same feeling I had, at the Big 12 championship or playing in the Peach Bowl last year. So just a full circle moment to actually be playing Houston this Saturday.
What kind of went into getting your next opportunity post-Houston? Like, what did you do at Houston to ultimately set up your next opportunity?
Yeah, it was people. Obviously, our head coach at the time, Tom Herman, was a hot commodity amongst the coaching carousel, and it was volatile, and he was able to get an opportunity, and I was kind of introduced to how volatile college football is with him bringing me in a closed-door meeting, and the director of recruiting at the time, Derek Chang, was offering me an opportunity to kind of leave and go to the University of Texas. I was ecstatic, but there was a big curve. I had another year of college to take, but I was sitting in class one day and my professor, Dr. David Walsh, asked all the students to raise their hand who had experience and who wanted a job after college. Obviously, I raised my hand, but he told everybody in the room, if you didn't have experience, don't expect a job after college. So right then, that's when I sent a letter to the U of H recruiting department to volunteer. It snowballed into that opportunity to then bring him into that closed door setting. And I brought that job offer to that professor that told me who has experience, who wants a job, and he was able to graduate me on the spot after talking to the dean of the university. So just very privileged of how that opportunity kind of unfolded.
Coach, Keith Abney comes from a background of speed skating. How do you think that kind of impacts and helps him on the football field?
I think it helps him from a flexibility standpoint to have fluid hips, to be able to get in and out of your break. Really at the top of the routes, being able to sink your hips allows you to play very aggressive to routes, allows you to get out of your breaks very exceptional. So him having that speed skating background, him hugging those curves, if you will, on the court that they speed skate on, definitely has adjusted to him playing football at a high level.
Was it something that stood out to you when you were recruiting him?
Yeah, so I was at TCU at the time, being the director of recruiting. I was very familiar with anybody with a pulse in the DFW area. He was a guy that was playing in what I call the SEC of Texas high school football in the district with Duncanville, Cedar Hill, DeSoto. And he was at Waxahachie playing 100 snaps a game, going both ways. He really had aspirations to be a receiver, but me offering him this opportunity to play cornerback at the Power 5 level was something that he couldn't refuse. But I knew I was getting an ultra competitive kid that was not only a 4.0 student, but had a unique background and a guy that lived and breathed football. So recruiting really good football players, the hit rate is very high on those type of kids.
When you got into your opportunity at Texas, right, you get that experience, you get the graduate from Houston, and so then where do you go from there?
I went, took the job at Texas as the assistant director of player personnel. We had success year one where we signed the #3 class in the country and just had those same conversations with the people that led me to that opportunity in Texas. And they were able to make me the director of recruiting at the time. But like I said earlier, the goal is to consistently vertically integrate within the business. So I wanted to always do more. So from being, I call it the janitor, folding envelopes, to kind of being on the rise and being in recruiting, and then kind of vertically integrating the coaching role is just a part of my pursuit of happiness, to kind of be those men that were able to help me fall in love with this game at such an early age.
How do you gain their respect, their trust of other people, like you said, going from that janitorial role to ultimately getting other responsibilities?
Yeah, I feel like I have a unique perspective when it comes to the sport. I feel like football isn't an overly complicated sport. I feel like you have to coach people before you get an opportunity to coach the player. So just being infatuated with teaching, learning, and then being able to bring kids and provide an opportunity and a safe haven to bring them to this university and be a part of, that development of the person from 18 to 22 is just as important and just as rewarding as you see the accolades and the acknowledgement of on-the-field success.
What did you kind of learn through being around blue blood programs like Texas and USC?
I feel like it provided a lot of exposure for me, being kind of more so at the front porch of college football, being at a school like Texas, being at a school like USC. It was an unbelievable experience for me to just kind of be at the mecca of college football, being thrust out of college. But, now being at a school like Arizona State or being at TCU, I feel like parity has seeped into the sport, and I'm excited for what the next 30 years hold for college football from a blue blood perspective, or to, schools like Arizona State and other schools that are Power 5, Power 4 programs, but don't have the blue blood feather in their cap. I feel like those times are changing. And if you're an 18-year-old kid coming up now, a lot of college experiences are comfortable, but if all of the college experiences are comfortable, where am I more comfortable at? And I feel like this place offers nirvana for a up-and-coming kid that wants a total college experience and wants to play football at a high level.
Coach,
I apologize if you've been asked this already, but Coach just mentioned how Ghost and Boogie might be questionable for this week. Can you talk about that, the impact on your position group and the next man up, and who are the next
Absolutely.
man up?
I mean, football, like I said in the past, football is the only sport where there's 100% assumption of injury. So as you go through a course of the season, guys are going to get dinged up, and it's either one, two things. Either you're hurt or you're injured. Everybody's hurt. Injured is not being able to play. So football is us being able to persevere through those moments, being able to say, hey, can I go? If I can't go, we have to have a next man up mentality, because we don't want you to go and you hurt the team. So we've just been championing, a next man up philosophy, and we got to perform. Win, lose, or draw. When your numbers is called, you're not only representing Arizona State, you're representing other people in that position group, in that room. So it's kind of stepping under that squad rack, this week. And hey, it's football.
Yeah. Who would be some of the next men up that you'd be counting?
I mean, we have a lot of guys. You got Maurice Williams, you got Kaya McDonald, you got Jack Ball. You got a lot of guys in that room that have been in this program, that have been in this defense for 2 or 3 seasons, 2 or 3 springs. So we feel like we have a lot of equations. We have some position flexibility in the back end of guys that may be in other rooms that could kind of step in an emergency and be able to function.
Coach, you mentioned to me after the game the importance of Texas to Tempe to that last win you guys just had on Saturday, and having another week against a Texas State team and another game you guys have been able to play against a team and do well and have success. What does that mean for you to be able to go against teams from your home state and kind of be able to show the ASU can do against some of these
Unbelievable. For us to have this home winning streak, the way it's been going the past 2 years, and us being able to play our 5th Texas opponent, the opportunity to go 5-0 versus schools in Texas, having this being our 3rd year here is something that stamps our Texas to Tempe movement. This is something to where other people on rosters that have visited this place have marveled, and the word is traveling about how special this place is, not just from us from a marketing standpoint, but word of mouth is also benefiting the Texas to Tempe movement. To have a 1 o'clock game this last week, it was magical, and not only magical to us and to our community, but other teams that play at Sun Devil Stadium will leave and the word will travel, and that'll only benefit what we're building here from the Texas to Tempe movement. And that game in Arlington in December will be a cherry on the top.
What's your recruiting philosophy?
My recruiting philosophy is really building organic relationships with people. I feel like nowadays with the world of college football, there's so many more variables involved than just football. You got to find a guy that loves football. You got to find a guy that lives and breathes football, because now guys can use football. And you don't want to find a player that's using football. You want a guy that lives, breathes, dies football. So when you find that, it really allows you to make an organic connection with a kid, because we have we're like-minded. I believe that the bait you use to fish is going to be the type of fish that you catch. So if I got to promise him X, Y, and Z, then I got to know what comes on the other side of that coin type deal, versus our roster of guys that live, breathe football, that want to compete. And I say it to recruiting when I talk to kids a lot around the country. A lot of people are allergic to fun. They're allergic to people having fun, and they feel like fun shouldn't be a part of football. We have a lot of fun, but when we step in these white lines, it's action, it's competition. And a lot of coaches around the country are uncomfortable with the fun that Kenny has kind of brought forth. But to me, and being at Blue Blood programs like you asked earlier, I feel like that's the difference, is we have so much fun, but we're able to turn it on, we're able to turn it off when we come on the gridiron.
What was the conversation like with Kenny to bring you here? What was that dialogue?
That dialogue, I'm gonna keep it brief. I was like, Kenny, conference realignment is on the cusp. If Arizona State gets a bid in the Big 12, we're gonna need Texas to win at a high level, and I'm your guy to help you in that state.
So you pitched Kenny on why you deserved an opportunity.
I texted him early on, maybe September-ish, but hey, if the stars align, look out for me. And when he got the job, I reached out to him. He may not have texted me back the first time that I texted him, but eventually I got through to him. But I'm very thankful for this opportunity. Every game before we walk out there, or before the captains walk out there, I grip Kenny up and I say, hey, man, thank you for this opportunity. So each day I'm just trying to make sure that we're continuing to build his vision and bring it forth to life.
What made you believe in him, and ultimately him believe in you too?
Dilly jumped in my DMs a long time ago when I was at the University of Texas and was like, hey, man, I don't know. I know you don't know me, but you're somebody I need to know. I talk to a lot of recruits and they bring your name up. So he sent me his number, and we kind of had this organic relationship since kind of like December 2020, and the stars kind of aligned for us that winter in 2022 to land me here, that I'm grateful for.
What's it like having taken that chance now, helping build up this program with him, establish the Texas to Tempe pipeline, win a Big 12 championship, coach a position group? How do you kind of...
That's an unbelievable feeling. We were walking to practice today, and I was like, hey, as a Texan, I really love living in Tempe, Arizona. It's an unbelievable place. We're moving into this time of the year from now till April that it's like Groundhog's Day every day. So I'm very thankful for being here, and I know that our players on our roster love living here in this experience.
What would you tell your Houston self, a guy going to school at Houston now?
Oh man, keep working, keep your head down, and God will give you the extra credit.
As a newer position coach, long-time recruiter, how much have you leaned on Coach Walk to help kind of
you grow as a coach?
Yeah, Coach Walker's been essential. You know, I always tell people, you know, we have this Mr. Miyagi-Danielson relationship. You know, I'm the young, vibrant, like I'm all PFF-based, metrics-based, analytics-based, and he's wax on, wax off. You know, so a lot of times it's a lot of humility because, hey, this guy's been coaching this position longer than I've been alive. So let him be sensei. Let him be Mr. Miyagi. I don't have a problem being Danielson. At some point, I'm not going to have Mr. Miyagi. So just the fact that I'm able to be in his hip pocket every single day and he's able to provide me that mentorship and he's able to accelerate me and quicken me in this coaching role is unbelievable. And that's what I meant earlier, hinting towards if you take care of business, keep your head down and work, God to give you the extra credit. You know, the stars aligned for D-Walk to be here at the right time with me here for us to really do something great for Arizona State. And the way our cornerbacks are playing right now is just a testament to the nucleus we have in that room.
Keith and Javen have two of the highest PFF grades for tackling right now. What have you just seen from them in that regard?
Dilly called us out from a tackling standpoint in August of last year, and the corners have just had that chip on their shoulder ever since. We have an opportunity every weekend to show that we're not what is reflected on paper. A lot of people look on paper and they say, hey, your corners are 5'10", 180 pounds. We're going to try to rough them up. So they go into every game with tenacity, and they go into every game with a scrappy mindset of tackling. And it's something we brace, it's something that we drill, and it's really more so a mentality in that room with those two guys especially.
You've recruited 5 stars, and then you've recruited guys who have been under the radar. What goes into identifying someone that may be under the radar, like maybe per se Keith, that can make it?
It's a good question. Evaluation always should rely on conviction, not what 24/7 says, Rival says. I watch the film and I make an assessment. I don't try to skew my assessment based on Alabama stamped them, Texas stamped them, Arkansas stamped them. I watch the film and I see, can this kid make our football team better? If the answer is yes, then we go get them, regardless if it's a 3-star or 5-star. In my time, I've seen guys we've offered that were 3 stars, and on National Signing Day, they're 5 stars. So it really doesn't matter. When you go to college, you put your stars in the bucket, and you want to leave college a 5-star. You want to leave college a 4-star. You don't want to be the guy that comes into college a 5-star and leaves a no-star, comes in a 4-star and leaves a no-star. So I just try to keep it onto our evaluation as a staff, what we see, regardless of what anybody else sees. Because, I mean, Keith was committed to Utah State like 9 days before signing day when we came in like a thief in the night. And Keith's a really good football player. So
how fulfilling is that for you to see a guy so early on be, you know, one of the first few guys to believe in someone, and then you go on with the journey, see them develop out in school, and then ultimately go on to do new things?
It's a testament of things I tell them all the time. Opportunity is everywhere, or talent is everywhere. Opportunity isn't. You got to find somebody that's going to provide an opportunity for you to develop, an opportunity for you to get on the field, an opportunity for you to be able to get your car to the starting line. So he's a guy, when we went to Camp T, and he talked about how he prayed to God for a Power 4 opportunity. And he knew he was better than Utah State at the time, not a diss to Utah State, but then, you know, the testament of you do the work and God will give you the extra credit, and the stars align for me to kind of build that relationship with Keith and offer him that opportunity at Arizona State.
Is there a desire for you to be a head coach someday?
Absolutely. That's the end goal.
Someday you'll be Mr. Miyagi.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
Thanks,
Yeah.